अभी जर्नल के इजरा और रिलीज से पहले एक और स्पीकर, हमारे गेस्ट स्पीकर है मोहतरम जनाब संजय हेगड़े साहब, जो सीनियर एडवोकेट है सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया में। उनसे गुजारिश करता हूं कि वो तशरीफ़ लाएं, अपनी बात रखें। इसके बाद जर्नल का इजरा होगा और हज़रत हमारे कपिल सिब्बल साहब की हम तकरीर सुनेंगे इंशाअल्लाह।
Good evening. It gives me great pleasure that the Journal of Law and Religious Affairs is being released today, and particularly because it's my good friend Mr. Shamshad who's done so much of the work behind it. Some of the speakers earlier had spoken of how the journal could be a means of communication, not only within the Muslim community, but on an interfaith basis. Now, it does strike me that in the past few years, one of the greatest reliances on the law, on the Constitution, on the flag, on the preamble, came from what we saw when a law which many of us think is unconstitutional was passed, in the protests against that. People may say anything about the politics of it. People may say that it benefited X, it benefited Y. I'm not going there. What really struck me is that when somebody just got up and stood up and said, old women got up in the bitter cold, stood there and said, look, this is wrong. This is unconstitutional. We are equal citizens of this great country. So, some of you know that I had to go there to try and explain what the court meant and how protests had to be constitutional. What struck me then was the words of a great American judge, Justice Learned Hand, who said that liberty lies in the hearts of men and women. And when it dies there, no constitution, no court can save it. No court can even do much to help it. But when liberty stood up there, when the feeling of liberty stood up there, the feeling of not taking an unequal society, as Shamshad said, when that stood up there, another verse came to my mind, with due apologies to Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar and my bad Urdu. But it does strike me कि दस्तूर जिंदा होता है हर एहतिजाज के बाद. Because a constitution is not worth anything except a little book to be fought over for, as someone in the Supreme Court once said, that the court becomes an arena for constitutional quibbling for men with long purses. But no, that's not what the Constitution is. The Constitution is what the people decide. And what the people decide is, I can't think of a better analogy than what I believe the Jamaat-e-Ulema Hind at the time of independence itself said, that the Constitution is a compact, a contract, a muadda. That this is the way we as a country, we as citizens will lead our lives in the public sphere. Not many people realize why it was that in the 1940s, in the late 1940s, we came out with that magnificent constitution. We came out with that magnificent constitution primarily because we had seen great violence in the previous decade. We had the World War. We had the Jewish Holocaust. We had the murder of the Mahatma. We had partition. And our forefathers, our great forefathers, in that magnificent Constituent Assembly, which consisted of 80% Orthodox Hindus, with President Rajendra Prasad being probably the most orthodox of them, came to a constitutional compact as to how this country was to be run. That no, all that violence that happened, let's not go down that road. A couple of generations later, maybe some of those lessons need to be renewed. And it is in that context that I do find that journals like this would play a great role. And though I did detect a certain amount of diffidence in, or a certain amount of despondence in Shamshad's speech, I would like to tell him, I'd like to quote Barack Obama, who said that the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. And what I'd like to add is that even though it would bend towards justice, it is we, the people, who will bend it. We cannot sit back. We cannot let things just happen because everybody else is too powerful. It is, after all, as somebody else said, that the struggle of man against power is the struggle of memory over forgetting. A journal like this, which documents, a journal like this, which engages with legal issues of our time, a journal which is bilingual, biannual, which reaches out in both English as well as the native languages, is particularly the need of the hour. I welcome it. I wish it luck. And I think I should not hold you back, and I should not hold Mr. Sibbal back from releasing it as soon as possible. Thank you very much.